Hope you enjoyed the time off from For the Record, because guess what? It's time for a new season. Borough Manager of State College, Tom Fountaine, in studio to talk the future of State College.
Commonwealth's attorneys and I have concluded that the NCAA sanctions were overreaching and unlawful.
Someone's got to develop a product that you and I, as a consumer, are going to want to buy.
The country needs a comprehensive energy plan.
Good morning and welcome to this edition of For the Record. Time to start our new winter season. We figured we'd wait till the actual first snowfall got here. And with that, we bring in the Borough Manager of the Metroplex that never sleeps in Center County, State College Borough Manager Tom Fountaine. Tom, thank you very much for being here.
Oh, thank you, Andrew, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm glad you made it in. How was your weekend with all the snow? No, there was a lot of crews out there for the Borough of State College.
It was a busy weekend. We had crews out beginning on Friday night, and we worked through early morning here this morning on Monday to clear streets downtown, clear the parking decks, and get things back to normal. So
I was out early morning. I thought the roads were in pretty good shape, and definitely as the day went on, crews did a good job. The snow, the winter season, always puts a dent in the budget. So we'll start with that. It's been pretty mild so far, obviously, without those 8 inches notwithstanding. Pretty good. The 2016 budget, anything new in it that people in town should be aware about?
No, it's a pretty standard budget for us. We really don't have any major new programs or anything significant going on. There is a tax increase in the budget this year, about 2 mills that was approved in December. That represents about $10 a month on a $300,000 home in State College. It's a balanced budget. We had a reduction in a number of personnel. Overall, our expenses are up just slightly this year in 16 over 17. We've done a pretty good job of managing healthcare costs and pension costs, which are real big drivers for us. Most of our budget is in personnel costs since we're a service delivery organization. But overall, I think we're in good shape financially heading into 2016, and I think 2016 and some of the budget changes that occurred this year really help set the stage for 2017 and into the future.
At any of the council meetings, was there any pushback a little bit, because there was a referendum earlier in the year with the past couple of years with the new school? So the school tax would go up a little bit. Not really much to do with the town on that one, but was there anything about people saying, we just got this school tax, can we hold off on this, or what was that like?
No, we didn't really hear too much this year. We did last year in the 2014 budget cycle for the 2015 budget, but in this current budget cycle, we didn't hear too much. We have a very engaged community, and we certainly have a lot of people that show up and participate in the discussions at council meetings on budget as well as other matters. But I think most everyone recognized the need to raise some additional revenue to bring the borough's financial position into a more stable setting for going forward into the future.
Gotcha. A big part of that is parking. Parking accounts for a lot of income downtown with the garages and meter parking. In January 11th, there was a memo sent by you to everyone on council and in the borough office about some improvements that would be needed in the parking infrastructure, if you will, if you wouldn't mind explaining that.
Well, we have some significant capital improvement projects that are scheduled for the parking system. Originally, the capital improvement plan had most of those occurring in 2017. We've had a couple of problems particularly in the Fraser Street garage with the elevator operations, as well as some other maintenance operations that we need to do in Pugh Street. And so we took a look at those projects and made a recommendation to move those up a year and complete that work in 2016. Part of that is to get the work done at Fraser Street and have that construction completed before the end of the year when Fraser Street and Fraser Center both reopen here at the end of this year. Our goal is to have the construction completed, Fraser Garage, Beaver Garage, all of those open for business at the same time the Fraser Center is opening for business, so that we don't have to have another disruptive season of construction there. So we're going to be asking council in February to take a look at about $6 million worth of improvements, capital projects, elevator repairs, some maintenance repairs for the Pugh Street Garage to occur in 2016. Some of that work will spill into 2017, mostly at Pugh Street.
Gotcha. I think that there was something in the memo about maybe that was 2 years down the road.
Yes.
Unfortunately, though, it had to be pushed up 2 years, so there's a little bit of a cost associated with that. Any fears that maybe that's going to offset a future budget, that cost has to come now instead of down the road?
Well, we're going to have to borrow funds to do the work, and it's simply a matter of moving that up in the capital improvement schedule. So the debt service requirements that will have to be charged will probably result in some minor adjustments to parking rates over that period of time. But I think overall, the borough's in a pretty solid position to be able to manage that project. The Pugh Street Garage, we're looking at potentially getting another 15 to 20 years of life out of that garage, but in order to do that, there are significant maintenance and improvements that need to be made. It's going to be about $2.5 million worth of improvements in that garage alone. Without that work, we're looking at a new garage probably in 5 years, and that's about a $40 million investment, $40 million potentially. So we think we're certainly making a better decision in investing a smaller amount of money in the short term to do the maintenance to be able to preserve that garage over a longer period of time.
Well, I got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
The first question, I know you folks at home, this is what you want to know. What would the parking increase be if there's an idea of that? And maybe because Penn State just continues to grow, any plans, even with keeping that garage open, that there might be on the horizon at least a surface parking spot garage type built in, or is there going to be another maybe multi-level garage built downtown?
Well, I think in the long term, there will have to be plans to replace Pugh Street, but that's probably, as I noted, 15 to 20 years down the road at this point. There really is a significant amount of parking available in downtown State College currently. The parking is available in the municipal garages. There are 3 garages in the McAllister parking deck. There's also really ample on-street parking. So at this moment, we believe that there's an adequate supply of parking to serve the community. And there are things that we're able to do to manage the availability of supply in terms of how many monthly parking permits are available versus transient parking spaces that would be open for customer parking. But in general, the work that we've done on evaluating the parking needs really shows that there is ample parking available in downtown State College. It's gotten easier, more convenient to park downtown, the use of the Park Mobile app to pay for parking on parking meters and in the surface lots, and part of the project that we're looking at for this year is to replace the gates and the revenue system in the parking garages, which will offer much more flexibility and different options for customers to make it easier for the customers that are coming in to park.
Parking. It seems like we could talk all day about parking. I know the folks at home, they could talk all day about it. When we come back, we might talk about that a little bit more. Also talk about some downtown improvements. Back with more right after this. Thanks for sticking with us here on For the Record. Tom Fountaine, Borough Manager of State College. Tom, we left off talking about parking. Parking, obviously, a lot to do with budget in the Borough of State College, but to have downtown improvement, you need that budget. That's where we're going next. A lot of things happening right now with development in downtown State College.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of new development going on downtown. Probably the one that is the most visible to everyone is Fraser Center, which is a significant building downtown. It's been on the drawing boards and in the works for more than a decade, and finally in the past year has gone to construction. So we're expecting the project to begin opening later this year, September, October timeframe. It's a 165-room Hyatt hotel, Target, H&M, the Federal Tap House, and then there's about 26 residential units also available in the Fraser Center for purchase as condominium units. So it's an exciting project that's going to add a lot of traffic to downtown, create a lot of buzz in downtown State College. So it's a good project.
This is me giving the golf clap. A for the Tap House. Gotta love that. Could always do more of that. Also for the hotel space, because we do know that on weekends, definitely graduation weekends, Beaver Stadium weekends, definitely need that hotel space. But what was the feeling like when finally that got green lit? Because you mentioned it was in the drawing works for over a decade, and it seems like there's always ideas in State College that have that. The downtown mall, the walking mall is kind of like that as well. But to finally get that project to go through.
Well, this is a project that actually was being developed before I started working in State College. It started out as a different project. There was a multi-screen cinema associated with the project, and that was really a key focus along with the residential owner-occupied housing that was part of the project. Unfortunately, the project was ready to go 3 different times before it actually went to construction, and it became a victim of the recession, and the banks quit loaning money for projects like that. And when that happened, the first theater operator pulled away from the project. It was ready to go to construction again a few years later, and it ran into another problem. And then the second theater operator pulled out of the project. And at that point, the entire project was reconfigured, and the hotel was brought in, as well as the retail space for the first time. So it's really a different project. It's going to employ more people. The hotel has the prospect of bringing additional guests downtown on a regular basis. There's meeting space, and so with the existing hotel rooms that are already downtown, and then the addition of the Hyatt rooms that will go into the Fraser Center, it's going to create some additional activity that will be good for downtown State College overall.
Great location as well, much like the Days Inn.
Yes, yep. Absolutely.
In that area.
And the Atherton Hotel. All 3 of them are in great locations. They're right in the heart of downtown State College. Great meeting locations.
Now, there's another development plan with Kildare's. Whether that's going to be built into a tower, is Kildare's going to stay kind of like in, I guess, that same development genre as keeping the restaurant in the building. What are the plans on that? Does the borough know about anything about that?
It's pretty early yet. We've had some very preliminary plans. There is retail space associated with the project. It's about a 12-story project also, so it's a tall building. Similar to Fraser Center. As the project moves along in the development plans, we'll know more about what the tenant mix looks like and how things will come together. There is an affordable housing component to the project, so it's going to be a mix of student housing and affordable housing units, which is a positive development, I think, also in downtown State College to get that mix of residential. Don't know what happens to Kildare's or how that retail space is used, but there will be a retail component to that project.
How do you balance the idea of making affordable housing, because obviously you're landlocked, so you have to build up. So to get the affordable housing, you build up, but at the same time, you want to keep the aesthetics of the town, not to make it all tall buildings. That's been
the debate for a number of years, probably going back at least 10 years, and there's controversy around that in terms of the building height. About 10 years ago, the council modified the zoning ordinance to allow building heights to increase, to allow more density, to encourage mixed-use development and development that would be positive for downtown State College. We're now starting to see the first buildings going up under those new zoning codes, with Fraser Center, the Metropolitan, and the building on the Kildare site being the first ones. There is a possibility that there could be others as well. So I think time's still going to tell a little bit as those buildings actually are opened and we get a better sense of the impacts. But we're landlocked in State College. We're about 4 square miles. There's about almost 10,000 people per square mile in State College, and for redevelopment to occur, really up is about the only possibility. So the council has relaxed some of the zoning code to allow for that.
Affordable housing, being that it's landlocked. So
yes.
you want those maybe single-family homes to maybe kind of still spring up in areas that are undeveloped, if there are any just for tax property values. How do you go about creating those?
Well, under the zoning code, as these projects are being built, there are affordable housing requirements. So the developers have to put affordable housing as part of the project, or they have the ability to do an off-site project or pay an in lieu fee, and then that in lieu money is used to support other affordable housing projects. So right now, the Metropolitan project, which is the corner of Atherton and College, the developer in this case is constructing affordable housing units in a new project that's being built on South Atherton Street at the intersection of South Atherton and Pugh Street, and those units will all be affordable units in that location. So that's how they've chosen to meet that need. Again, the project on the Kildare site on East College Avenue is looking at this point to mix the affordable units in the building itself. So all of those things, I think, help contribute to the availability of affordable housing in State College.
Just under a minute. Any requirements to the appearance of the buildings? Not comparing State College to Chicago, how the Architectural Society has to approve a design, but maybe to modernize some of the building looks that are currently going up.
Sure. the developer is required to go through the design review board in State College. The design review board does not have the ability to mandate appearance changes, but they make recommendations, and in almost every case, developers have been responsive to those recommendations. So it's a group of citizens with expertise in architecture and an interest in those sorts of things, and they've have been a pretty good board to make good positive recommendations on design recommendations.
Good stuff. When we come back on For the Record, we'll talk a little bit about maybe a future downtown mall in State College. Also, where the future of State College is going, maybe some transformation. Stay with us. You're watching WHVL's For the Record. Welcome back. WHVL's For the Record. State College Borough Manager Tom Fountaine. Tom, we left off talking about downtown improvement. There was this downtown State College master plan in 2009. Now, I came from Charlottesville, Virginia. We had a downtown pedestrian mall in Charlottesville, Virginia. Good friend of the show, Rick Bryant, he wants a downtown pedestrian mall on Allen Street. That seems like it's always been a dream for State College to get. Anytime in the future that it possibly happens, maybe in that 2-block area of Allen Street.
Well, Rick creates a downtown pedestrian mall twice a year on Allen Street.
He does. It's a good time.
He just closes it, and we have a lot of people that come visit State College on those weekends. That's a project that has been floating around in State College for as long as I think history can record, and it has been controversial. There are people that absolutely love that idea, and they cite places like Ithaca, New York, and Charlottesville, Virginia, and Boulder, Colorado, with the great pedestrian malls that they have. Iowa City's had a successful pedestrian mall, and then there's others who are concerned about traffic flow and the removal of parking spaces and so forth. So I don't think there is a strong likelihood that it's going to happen anytime in the near future, but there are some provisions in the downtown plan in the last version of a sort of a modified pedestrian mall where the street could be open during parts of the day and then be set up so that the street could be closed off during evening hours and do some different things like that to help encourage more pedestrian traffic.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, there's no chance that we're going to have a tunnel go under Allen Street to alleviate the traffic, or a bridge going over Allen Street with multi-stories there, right?
No, there's no chance that that's going to happen, Andrew.
I thought that was the plan.
Yeah, no.
I saw like a big bridge downtown.
No.
So.
No. We did have a proposal once to run a monorail from the stadium
there we go.
to downtown.
That'd be great.
That's probably at least likely to happen, too.
If you put Mickey and Goofy driving that monorail, I'm sure people would come from miles away to ride that. The sustainability for State College. Obviously, tax base is huge with that.
Sure.
Mid 40% of all property in State College is tax exempt. How do you strike a balance of attracting businesses and maybe giving those tax exempt statuses and things like that, or even the university, because we do know the university has switched from not full-time jobs but to maybe outside contractor work. So how does State College make up the funds because of lost revenue that way?
Well, it's a challenge not only in State College, but it's a challenge in almost all the core cities in Pennsylvania. It becomes a real difficult task. Over 10-year and 15-year trends, we essentially have flat growth in assessed value for properties and in real estate tax values and in earned income tax. Those numbers just aren't changing. We're not seeing any kind of improvement. And so it becomes a real challenge in managing that. And again, I think in most of the core cities in Pennsylvania, you're seeing that. We're better off than some. There are a number of those core cities that have gone into the Act 47 program, which is the equivalency of municipal bankruptcy, including Harrisburg, the state capital. So it's an issue that those of us that are in core cities are really critically concerned about and have really worked hard with the legislature to provide other revenue options instead of relying so heavily on property taxes, given the tax-exempt property loads that many of the core cities have. We've talked about other options like additional sales tax potentially, or tax on alcohol, those kinds of things that really drive so much of the cost associated with running a city like State College. So in the long run, those are really, I think, the things that we think are going to have to happen. The development that we're seeing will provide some enhancement in revenue and improve the revenue structure. But in the long run, we just need a more diverse revenue base to be able to avoid having the kind of financial stress that you have in so many other cities in Pennsylvania.
I think what added maybe a little bit to the stress over the last 4 years, obviously the NCAA sanctions that hit Penn State. Football team, as a result, I don't want to say struggled because they've stayed above water, but it wasn't really like a Penn State football team as old. Less people coming into town for games. How did that maybe affect the bottom line, and now do you see light at the end of that tunnel to possibly finally getting out of that?
Yeah, obviously Penn State football is important to the State College economy, not only State College Borough, but the entire Center County economy and probably surrounding counties as well. And so as the Penn State football program attracts fans into town, that certainly is strongly beneficial to the local economy, and we're hopeful that happens. I can tell you from our parking revenues on football weekends, they have been fairly constant through that period of time. Last fall was a good year in terms of revenue during football season in the parking facilities. This year it was down slightly, but it's been fairly constant throughout the period of time when the sanctions had occurred. But I think overall that's obviously an important part of the local economy. Penn State attracts visitors for football weekends. They also attract visitors for conventions and meetings that occur both on campus as well as off campus. That is part of the Penn State environment. So I think that's all important. I think a key thing that Penn State is doing, though, is to encourage the growth of an entrepreneurial economy.
Would that fall under diversification a little bit, like
clearly,
for the future?
Yeah, clearly. If those kinds of jobs are developing, I think overall it helps improve the local economy on an everyday basis instead of relying on special events for that economy. The other thing that's probably been as hard as anything in terms of the competition has just been the internet and online sales and the nature of those sorts of things have certainly made the retail business more challenging now than it was 5, 6, 7 years ago. So there are a lot of things going on that have affected the economy. It's been a tough few years in downtown State College. There's no question about that. But I think there are some opportunities here to do some things, see more people working downtown, more people visiting downtown that will help downtown State College and help the overall local economy.
Absolutely. Looking forward to see where State College goes, especially with these new building projects that are in the works. Maybe 5 years, we won't even recognize the skyline of State College. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, the way it's going, that certainly could be the case, Andrew.
All right. Tom Fountaine, Borough Manager of State College. Thanks for joining us this morning here on WHVL's For the Record.